Good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And it's a special Monday call, and we have a special guest, Masami Covey. And Masami was on a few weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago, and I happened to be in Egypt. So April and Masami just took off and ran with it, and what an amazing experience. And I'm so happy that any of y'all who watched that got to participate. If not, the replay is in our replay link. We can see that out later. But today we get to drop in again with Masami, me and Masami, and this is such a beautiful awakened conversation of embracing aspects and parts of ourselves and the intelligence that means for our mind, body, and spirit, and how we integrate and come together in our sovereignty and our wholeness as best as we can with the tools that are available to us. So it's gonna be a phenomenal call. We're gonna open up to Q&A also, because the Q&A with Masami is just off the charts amazing. So if you want to ask your personal question, definitely raise your hand, type your question into the chat box. And we are going to go through Masami's special offer as well, because it is jam-packed and there's 23 live calls. You're going to get a personal email from Masami in relation to your particular cycle, and we'll get it. Masami will explain more about that, but it's something that you may want to maybe click on the purchase, not the purchase now button, the link that April's probably just typed into the chat box, or wait to follow along with us as we go through it a little bit later. And then what can I say about Masami? She's just extraordinary. And it's, again, my readings and sessions with her have been so insightful and so helpful. I've referred so many people. I've paid for sessions for people that I love with Masami, and they all walk away just wowed what they received and feeling so supported and nurtured in it. But what Masami does is she embraces the power of both spirit and science, intuition and physiology. And I'm reading from her bio now. And she bridges the unseen and the seen to reveal the interconnections of the body, mind, and spirit. So as a health intuitive, her work is centered on cultivating the innate healing power and exploring the root causes of functional imbalances, rather than focusing on the diagnoses and labels around medical conditions. Her intuitive insights, laser-pointed guidance, and it really is laser-pointed, and practical tools offer a dynamic framework for connecting our subtle body language with anatomy, emotion, nutrition, breathwork, supplements, detox protocols, lifestyle practices, and so much more. And Masami was introduced to us here on BTO through just a heart connection and soul. A person I have so much respect for, and that a lot of y'all know, who's Dee Wallace, who's been on the show. And if Dee recommends anybody, I'm always a yes. And God, she delivered and so much more with Masami. And Masami, thank you with that introduction. Thank you again for being here today.
Thank you. What a lovely introduction. And I felt like my soul was like eating a nourishment, like a really good salad and a nice soup or something, and then a dessert's about to come, kind of a feeling. So thank you for that. And I wanted to actually say thank you to April too, because April and I had really an interesting in-depth conversation, and it meant a lot to me that we could still do it. And it was your birthday that we had the call. So April, I love you. Thank you. So I wanted to say that too. And thanks for having me back. I really been looking forward to this. So
Me too. And let's dive into it. We're in this phase right now, and the awareness of you scenes probably coming up more and more for clients, but the topic today is reclaiming your moon power.
Yes. Well, and it's really get in touch with the rhythm of the darkness. And I know you know a lot about that too, because to me, the darkness, that goes hand in hand with the cycles of the moon. And I'm not talking about moon cycles in terms of the feminine cycles. I mean, there's some of that too, of course, and then it's not about like manifesting things, new moon, write this down, and then by full moon kind of thing. It's much deeper than that. I want to take the cycles much deeper, because it's kind of a forgotten art. And although we remember in our cellular level, though, how to connect with the moon, because it's truly Earth is sister. It's like a twin sister. And there are different theories how the moon came about, but the moon, some scientists say that there may be a part of the Earth chipped away and then it became the moon. So there's just a little bit of a yearning going back home feeling when you tune into the moon rhythm. And I think the moon is always yearning to come back to connection with us too. But I think with modernization, particularly with the light, the usage of computers, blue lights, nighttime lights, I mean, it's really hard to find night skies now. Like the dark night communities, those are really hard to find. And some communities are trying to reconnect with that, to reclaim that human needs to be in the darkness. So I'm starting to see with my clients too, that really strange conditions, or maybe even like ascension conditions, ascension symptoms that we've been talking about for the last several years, particularly like things like tinnitus. It's huge. I just see tinnitus all over the place. And then people that I work with, most of them have some kind of a ear issues. It could be maybe excessive wax, or maybe some kind of a dizziness or hearing loss, but ear, nose, throat stuff. And so I did a lot further, maybe like I love to research science. So I was researching some science. And Johns Hopkins, and actually a University of, I believe it's like a Maryland, they did a study on darkness studies, and to put people in the darkness for a while to see if they can get the tinnitus to get better and their hearings to get better. And they've actually done the research to say that can happen. And so I'm seeing that maybe there are two components here, right? So one, that the environment that we live in, it's just overly emphasized on the light. And also in a spiritual community is this semi-addictedness towards ascension and then towards light. And we're forgetting about the density, the maybe groundedness, the healing power of the darkness, because darkness truly is a place where our wounds heal. This is when our traumas actually can reintegrate, because a lot of the traumas are about not being reintegrated into your own sphere, right? It's the fragmented self, it's the forgotten self, it's the one that got lost. It's something that you disconnected from your own being. And darkness is when you can shut down your senses, particularly your sights, because your eyes take in about 80 to 90% of information now. That's incredible. 80 to 90% of your information is coming in through your sights. So we make judgments and decisions based on the split second that you met somebody, or you walked by somebody. You didn't even talk to this person, but you made the decision who this person is. You don't want to maybe get to know this person or whatever. So we're making judgments constantly. I mean, it's necessary to define, is this safe for me? Is this not safe for me? I get that. But when you remove the senses of your eyes and you go into the darkness and introduce yourself to that rhythm of the darkness, your other senses can actually start to heal. And I think the idea of the ascension, and all of us spiritual beings are seeking for that light for understandable reasons. But one of the main symptoms that I do see is about tinnitus and, ear, nose, throat stuff as well. So maybe there's something to be looked at from a physiological standpoint. But I kind of went into a totally different direction. But, I think I wrote it down before I got on the call. I wrote down, darkness can only be understood by engaging it, dwelling in it, and inhabiting it. And so I don't want to talk about darkness. I don't want to talk around darkness, but I want to be dwelling in it. I want to be in it. And what a better way to do that, but to go through 29.5 days of moon cycles, right? because that's going to engage you to come back to your own different shades of gray.
Well, it puts you into circadian rhythm also. It brings you back into a natural flow that we're functioning with. You're not against it or not in counter and resistance. So it's occurring. Even with daylight savings time happening here in the US, it throws our rhythm off so much. And people don't really understand the implications on our mind, body, and spirit when that happens. It's profound.
Yeah. Yeah. And, on the subject of like circadian rhythm, like flowers to even, well, animals and human beings to even trees and things like that, but also even algae, they all work with the circadian rhythm. So we can't ignore that, the rhythm of the light and the dark cycles. And then based on that, we produce melatonin, and melatonin is getting very much studied right now. Melatonin isn't just to support your sleep, but the melatonin is the agent. I would say it's the hormone and it's a neurotransmitter, but I intuitively feel, and it's like I get downloads from the body. The bodies speak to me. When I work with the clients, your organs will talk to me literally. And what the melatonin's been saying to me is that we are the elixir, we are the liquid form that really cleanses your brain. And without the melatonin, we do not open our intuitive center, our channeling center of the pineal gland. And, there are a lot of talks about pineal glands, but if we don't bring in the darkness, pineal gland really struggles because it's a very sensitive organ. Pineal gland is one of the most sensitive spots in our bodies, and it's super sensitive to blue lights. It's really sensitive to lights during the night. So it really shuts down. And when you don't produce melatonin, you can deal with obesity, cardiovascular disease, maybe even cancer. They've done studies with breast cancer and prostate cancer connected to lack of melatonin productions and moods, many different ways that we work with our moods and our psychological well-being really is directly connected to how much melatonin you're producing. But the melatonin cannot be produced unless you introduce yourself to darkness. And that is the key. So, yeah, I mean, we can go into all kinds of direction with that too. But I think we are being given to work with these two seemingly like this is good and this is bad, or this is light and this is darkness. This is to look for, and this is what I want, and this is to be avoided. We really need to get out of that duality. And I recently looked up the word twilight, and the word twilight means to twin, basically to hold twins. So it's in that moment where the light and darkness are marbling together. And in that twilight, we can hold both truths at the same time, and we can get out of that duality. So I think that's what the moon cycles are trying to teach us. It's not that the full moon is better than a new moon, but it's each phases, each level, each night is teaching us to go deeper into who we are and to discover who you're meant to be. And, I wanted to show you this picture. I actually printed this out today for today's call. And we've all seen this picture of the iceberg, right? But I often teach it this way. I flip it and I show this picture, because this is where the soul is. This is where the soul of everything, the soul is trying to become known again. That's what this space is. But this is where the darkness is also. We can get in touch with the soul purpose, soul language, soul, what the soul is wanting us to know about you and others when you flip the iceberg like this. And so this image is very important. And to me, here, this space is where I wrote these down today. This is where your vitality is. This is where your imagination is hidden in the iceberg when you flip it in that space. This is where your authenticity is. This is where your personal agency, you can find that there. Uniqueness, maybe your, quirkiness, your funniness, your hidden beauty. And this is where you get to practice very healthy boundaries. This is where you get in touch with your inner knowing and needing to create boundaries. Your sexuality, your sensuality, your mysteries, your past lives, your ancestors' messages. And it's a sense of who you are that you haven't quite discovered. It's a place of endurance and in your preservations and your tenacity and vulnerability is there. And the vulnerability will transform you. So I'm here to flip the iceberg upside down and to really discover the beauty that is in that darkness. So I'll pause there for a moment because I'd love to hear what you think, because you've been doing a lot of work on this.
I've been doing a lot of shadow work and work into darkness, but I have to ask you first before we get maybe into my perspective and build upon the conversation. How is it that you help your clients go through these phases? Because, and sharing in some of my experience, you're aware that last summer I went into a dark room retreat and we were in there almost 7 days, and the reset that happens was phenomenal. I was so glad to be in there because I was ready to throw my phone in the ocean and toss my computer and all that, because I was feeling and overwhelmed by so much stimulation of not just the information coming in, but having to respond to it. And and I could feel, it's like, no, I just need to close down for a second and catch up. But what was fascinating in the dark room was I had no place to go but to be with myself. And part of what percolates up is the anxiety, the fears, those things that when we stay in the light too much, we can push to the side because we have this light to distract us and something to chase. But it can't all really come into balance unless that part that we try to ignore or to avoid or to supersede with the light can come in relationship and integrate. So how is it that you guide your clients through those phases? Because those phases are sure to come up.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you're asking me about this, because I think my approach is a little less psychological and a lot more physical.
I love that.
And yeah, I think that, Carl Jung did a really amazing job, introducing the shadow work and looking at different ways that our minds play tricks. And at the same time, it was just kind of his theory, but we took it as it's something that was written on some kind of a stone and said, shadow work must be done through the psychological level. And it's kind of like we take that same approach with any kind of mental disorders and even depression, suicidal tendencies, or even children that are having attention deficiencies, attention ADHD and things like that, right? I think we are not approaching it from to me, that's the iceberg again, right? I feel like we're just going back and forth on this and we're not going down into the depths. And when you go into the darkness and begin to work with the dark spaces of you, where your potential is, the birthing place, this is where the unknown potential lies. It's like, and I'll come back to that, but it's like when somebody says, I know that I have heavy metals and I know I have toxins in my body and I need to detox and I need to cleanse. To me, that is very similar to somebody that says, I'm ascending, we're in a different realm now, I'm in 5D now, and I just want to get there. And then can I get there? Okay. Yes, we're in it and we're already there, but we can go through Herxheimer reactions. And what that is that healing reactions. Herxheimer reaction means healing reactions. So if you don't take care of your different organs first and get this body strong and make sure that you have the endurance that you can tap in and your different organs are opened up. So your lungs are opened, your liver is opened, your gallbladder, the bio's flowing, your colon is not constipated or too much diarrhea, or your heart is opened and your body is capable of taking on this role. It's sometimes dangerous to actually push people into the psychological shadow work too soon. It's like the same thing with a cleanse, because I have seen people that come to me after they went to heavy metal detox centers or something like that, and they ended up doing very hardcore mercury detox, or they did aluminum detox or whatever, and they actually ended up releasing the toxins into their cells, and they might have mast cell conditions, or they might go into a complete breakdown because they went into that darkness too soon. And so for someone like you, that you've been doing the physical work, you and I've been in touch a lot, and I know that you take care of your diet. I know that you take your supplements. You do so much for your physiology to support the soul that you're housing. That's why for someone like you, it was a good time. It was a really right time for you to do the dark work, to go into the dark room. But if you didn't do the physical side and supported this physiology first, because this is where the soul resides, then this is when it flips people. This is when people come back from those retreats and things like that, and they sometimes will lose themselves, just like they did the detox too soon.
Yeah.
So that's where I start, is we have to embody the darkness first. We got to get into our organs. We need to eliminate things, make sure that the things are moving through you first. So that's how I do it first, before we even go into addressing your fragmented self and addressing your lost self. And so on. Yeah.
Well, and you're so attuned that you can address both, but you approach the physiology because you need the vehicle to support what's happening.
Yes.
And again, you're just so intelligent that way, and you've got so many tools in your tool chest to really bring an intelligent, functioning approach to really be able to resonate and be in harmony with what's become available because of our environment, because of the lack of being in darkness, because our melatonin isn't in a place that's balanced in the way that it organically wants to be, and how we can start supporting it so that it can be. Years ago, I went through a period where I got into a deep state of depression. I was anxious about things, a deep state of depression, and it didn't make sense, because whatever was coming in my life, it wasn't anything new, even though there was what some would consider difficult decisions and other things that were coming up. It's like, it was really interesting. It's like, why was I having these thoughts? Why was I having these thoughts of not wanting to be here anymore? And I finally went to a practitioner that did the proper test on me. It's like, guess what? You're not producing dopamine. Guess what? Your adrenals are out of whack. Guess what? This and it's like, of course you're responding that way.
Yeah.
And then the spiritual community is like, but you need to fix this, and you need to fix your limiting beliefs, and you just need to vibrate higher, or do the law of attraction, and it's not. There's a holistic approach, and we have to consider how our body is relating to the environment, and take an approach that our body's intelligence is guiding us, not working against us.
Yeah, I'm so glad you are speaking up about this. And I just, I love it, because we need to come together and speak up louder and louder about this. We have separated things too much. Oh, that's just physical body. Oh, that's a spiritual work. No, they all come together. If your liver is not doing well and your bio's not flowing, I have seen people fail at their financial health over and over because they're not having the flow. And if the bio is clogged up, then your lymphatic system is going to get clogged up. Then good luck trying to tap into intuitiveness and your own also creativity juice, because creativity juice flows through your lymphatic system. And, I will give you an example of one of my clients, and she had been suffering from major depression, all kinds of strange illnesses, and she just couldn't figure it out. So she kept going from one person to another. And then the one person said, it's your karma. The next person said, it's your past life. And another person said, you're not manifesting it because you're not thinking hard enough, or you're not praying enough, or you didn't have this X and Y-Z crystals that you didn't purchase. And I'm not saying don't do those things. I have tons of crystals. I use essential oils. I love manifesting things with different, ways of connecting with my guides and angels and my inner wisdom. But I don't leave my body. But when I tuned into her, and she said for 13 years, she's been looking ways to heal. And I looked at her and I said, you have mold issues. You are living in a moldy house where that is impacting your neural transmitters. It's literally impacting your brain. And she was shocked. And I said, please just start looking around where you're living. And it was basically soon after that, she started emailing me, taking pictures of all these mold that was growing in her apartment. So it has to go hand in hand, right?
It really does. And the critical thinking has to balance the esoteric thinking. It just does. And that's why I like doing the show from both perspectives. I don't mind going out, but I also like getting grounded. And it has to be from both sides of the spectrum. An extreme example, and someone that I was very close to for a long time, people looked up to her and the path she followed, and she was spiritual and esoteric and had this amazing life and so abundant, and everybody wanted to be her. And she started getting these lumps in the back of her head, and these things, it's like the shape of my head is changing. It's like I'm having ascension symptoms. My brain is rewiring. You should probably get that checked out. No, it's I'm growing. It's like the spiritual is like, look how fast I'm evolving. The shape of my head is changing. I've read about this. I know about this. She had a brain tumor. Yeah.
Wow.
And to get caught up in the innocence and yet the arrogance of spiritual development for what's going on physically, there's just the point that we can bring it into balance and be aware. It's not one or the other. It's yes and. It's yes and it's a holistic approach that really evolves for the evolution of our consciousness, both spiritually and metaphysically, and in our body, because our body is evolving with the rest of us.
Yeah. And, I think I will give you an example of that it's a beautiful example of the divine coexisting with you. You are this divine. You do house the expressions of gods. I mean, we are different rays of gods. And this was something that I personally experienced when I had my cerebral spinal fluids taken out of my spine when I was first diagnosed with MS. And when I was shown the CSF liquid to me from the doctor after that little, pulling the fluids out of my spine, which is very uncomfortable, by the way. He showed it to me and I expected it to look like a milky white, maybe creamy things, but it was actually a pure light. And that moment, it was the purest liquid I've ever seen. Wow. And when I looked at it, tears started coming down. And I said to the doctor, I said, that's where God is. That's where God is. And I was so excited. I'm like getting wheeled by, the wheelchair with the nurse pushing my wheelchair, me on it. But I was holding that liquid, looking at it, going, oh my God, I saw God in me. And so then I did a lot of studies on CSF because I wanted to know, what is this thing? This is amazing. So your brain is floating in the CSF, this liquid. The spine is floating too. They're actually swimming in this liquid. It's basically, we are inside this God liquid. And so people are calling CSF as like a place where you'll find the seat of your soul, or this is where the expression of God is. And, so when you think about that, you start to go, oh my gosh, how can I take care of my God liquid? This divine liquid that is in me. And then I started searching, like, how can I support my CSF? Well, number one, you need to actually introduce yourself to the darkness at night, because that's what helps the part of your brain to begin cleaning. And the brain has the lymphatic system. It's like a lymphatic system that cleans your CSF during the night. And it's at the deepest sleep. So it's the time when you become oneness. This is when you're not really dreaming. You're in the deepest part of your sleep. You're not moving. That's when the CSF gets cleaned out, because you get to bathe in God at that time. So is this a science or is this a spirituality? It's both.
Yeah.
Right. So I kind of get so excited, John. You know that. I get just so excited about this stuff.
Okay, we can talk with so much with Masami. Masami, I want to take Q&A.
Yes, let's do it.
We promise that, and I'm going to start promoting some of y'all to panelists here. So we're going to get in a lot of what you're talking about today with this darkness, with, I'll call it both sides of the spectrum of light and darkness. I covered in a special membership call today. So it's just, we got into just what was coming through and the embracing or the awareness, really.
I actually think that people who are fully in 5D right now, like soaked all the way up like us, okay, cannot help it but to actually hold both light. Because darkness is not a lack of light. It's just the light that you cannot see. It's the light that has not quite manifested, but it's a form of light. So I think some of us are starting to speak up about the shadow side, the darkness, and the rhythm of the moon. And yeah, it's really, really exciting to connect with people that are, we're channeling darkness as beauty. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yes, darkness is. I talk about that all the time. I love it. It's
cool.
Speaking to my soul. All right, let's go to our first caller. Bing, let's get you to unmute, please.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. And before I start, I just want to say that Masami, on John's birthday, you and April, that session was just amazing. On Saturday, I found my darkness goddess. And after I found her, I went back to listen again. It was so powerful. That's why I just can't just wait to be here. And tomorrow I'm gonna have a dental operation. I'm very excited because I know, as you said, it's a way of finding ourselves. It's a way to know our body, to know our organs. I'm sure while I'm talking, you probably can scan my body. There's so many messages, like even today.
What is the operation that you're having tomorrow? I couldn't hear that.
I don't know the scientific term. It's a microsurgery during a hole on the gum line. There's some infection over there.
Okay. So do you have a specific question? I can go into it a little bit, but.
Yes, I do have a specific question regarding my physical body, because I just, did my annual checkup and the result seems very daunting, like a little bit scary. And I have a history with my with Hashimoto. As you know, that's antibody that's been going on for years. And it's also, the result also showed a lot of proteins in my urinary.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna stop it there for a moment. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. So by the time it shows up on the oral issues. Okay. This is for everyone, not just for you, but for everyone. By the time things starts to show up in your mouth, there's been a lot of layers and layers of things that you needed to be addressing up to this point. Okay. So it's a sign that your entire body is going through some inflammation. So I get yes on it. So it's not just the inflammation of the mouth or your gums, okay? But it's an inflammation throughout your entire body, even your colon, okay? Even your small intestine, even your, I would say, yeah, your pancreas is struggling a little bit with the blood sugar dysregulation as well, okay? But one thing that I want to say, Bing, okay, is that go into this surgery, know that you'll be okay, okay? You will need to begin to take care of yourself afterwards. I would definitely take a lot of zinc before you're going into it. And then after you're done with the surgery too, for several weeks, take zinc, okay? But one thing I want to say to you is that you have worked so hard for decades. I get yes, around 20 years or so, you've been working really, really hard. Okay. You've been biting off too much stuff sometimes. You've worked so hard to be who you are, where you're at in your life. You have shown the world that you are capable. Okay. And I'm going to give you an example of myself when I moved to this country. Okay. When I moved to this country and I didn't speak a word of English, the biggest challenge that I experienced, I know this is why I'm saying it, Bing. I see you. I see you. Okay. I want to take it much further than your body, because the reason why your entire body is inflaming and it's now finally showing up in your mouth is like an internal scream. Internal scream. Okay. You've worked so hard to be where you're at. And when I came to this country, the biggest thing that I really struggled with was that I felt stupid when I came here because I didn't speak a word of English. I felt utterly stupid. I went to high school here and I was put into an English as a second language class, and I studied utensils and names of furnitures. Okay. And I was 16 years old, so those emotions come up for me when I'm tuning into you because you worked so hard. So will you give yourself a little break after this surgery? Just take some time for yourself. Could you do that?
I already started to give myself break since November. I told myself I'm committed to myself. Before I find myself, I'm not going to take any external world responsibility.
Yeah. Just take some time, and I love for you to write down 5 things. And will you share maybe 2 things that you're proud of who you are?
I think, as you said, I'm really proud of where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
And
what specifically, what are you most proud of right now?
Maybe I have hope. I don't know.
Yeah, but I want you to just give me something really concrete, like density of the body. I want you to go into the body and say, this is what I'm proud of.
You mean about my body?
Body or self, or how far you've come, because you worked really hard to be where you're at.
I mean, it feels like my body is falling apart, but for some reason, I don't think so. My body knows where to be. Like in my big toe, there's a huge infection. And someone told me, go to see the doctor, But I don't know why. Like my body speaks to me. My toe said, I'm fine, leave me alone. So I got confused. When other people tells me to do what to do, I feel like I'm like judging myself. Did I do the right thing? But my toe told me I'm fine, leave me alone. So I don't know.
So you're proud of being able to listen to yourself. That's one. But this is going to be your homework, because I need you to get a little more concrete with what you're proud of for being who you are. Okay.
Sure. Another thing is I'm proud of
when it comes to your toes, you need to see somebody on that one.
Mm.
You do need to see the big toe. Somebody needs to see that. Okay.
All right, love.
Because you're inflamed,
Yeah.
right?
Bing, come back and listen to the replay. And I think the homework assignment is actually really profound for you. If you come back and listen, because I do this with people, it's like, well, what do you feel? And I don't get feelings. I get a lot of words of states of being that have nothing to do with the emotional body. And so there's a disassociation that we just get into practice of. And so to go in and to get to know yourself that intimately, it's like, oh, I can see myself in a way that I hadn't seen it's like, oh, let me feel that part. Oh. And then all of a sudden it's like this world that's within you starts to become awakened, and your connection, not just to yourself, but to nature, to other people, to sensing what's going through you becomes much more easy to access. And so we're so used to this in the head, right? And the running and the thinking and all that. But that's like someone talking in circles all the time and never really telling you anything. And so for any of y'all on this call, I recommend that simple assignment. It may be simple, but the wisdom that gets evoked is tremendous. Yeah, Bing, thank you so much, and blessings on your surgery.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, let's go to our next caller, Jasmine. Let's get you to unmute, please. And I love your background. So cool.
Oh, hello. Thank you. I'm sitting outside on my balcony.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you? You look really warm. I wish I'm there.
I'm in Australia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hello.
Yeah. Hello. So I'm just wondering if there's anything in my body, my stomach, or health-wise that's jumping out at you that needs attention, possibly?
So let's get into it a little bit more. And I need you to language it a little bit more. Okay. So what I do best is that I like to hear your descriptions, and then I can hone in. Yeah. Because when somebody says my digestion or my stomach or something, right? A lot of people say it's stomach, but they're not even pointing at the right spot for the stomach. They tend to point at the small intestine and call it the stomach, and it's not. Okay. So give me a couple more things of what's been going on with you.
I look pregnant. I'm really bloated.
Distended and bloated. Okay.
Yes.
So let me just, that's good enough for me to start going into it. Okay. Yeah. It's kind of embarrassing to say that, huh? But don't be, right? Because I was distended and pregnant looking for about 20 years. Yeah. So, and a lot of us can relate to that. So this is a fantastic question. All right. So let's see. Yeah. So, you do work on your diet quite a bit. Yeah. I can see that you've been really trying with your diet. Yeah. Correct. Okay. So, okay. I thought maybe you need a stomach acid support, but I get no on that. Where I get yes on is the digestive enzymes. I think you're not producing enough enzymes. So let me see. Yeah, you're not producing enough amylase, lipase, no, pancreatic enzymes either. So I would actually go and get yourself like a full spectrum digestive enzymes. Okay. And you need to take that with each meal, but also, yeah, before you go to bed, take one capsule of it. Okay. Yeah, before you go to bed, because it's going to clean out some of the debris in your system. Okay. Because whatever it's not digested, it's making their way into duodenum, into the small intestine, and it's making you bloated because they're fermenting inside you, right? And it's getting rancid and then putrefied, but they get fermented. That's what causes that bloating, right? So you need to have enzymes that will break down the fiber and carbohydrates for you. Okay. So that's what I would go for right away, is to get yourself some digestive enzymes that has the amylase and lipase and definitely pancreatic enzymes in there. Okay. And not take them only with the food, but away from food. And yeah, I get one more thing that I definitely want to mention with you is the proteolytic enzymes. It's called proteolytic enzymes. So things like bromelain. Yeah. bromelain, and then, other digestive enzyme like papain and things like that would be great too. Okay. But bromelain is something that will work in a small intestine and large intestinal areas. So it tends to work lower than the upper GIs. Okay. And they're great. Take them before you go to bed also. 1 to 2 capsules of bromelain kind of thing, or proteolytic enzymes that has other stuff in it. Okay. But that they can become like a little cleanup crew and cleans the crap out. Basically, they eat it away and they use it for the fuel. And then the microbes love using them as fuel, because you still have like closet full of foods that you ate from 2 days ago,
Lovely.
so
yeah.
you got to clean that out. Okay. So that's interesting, because I usually get yes on a betaine hydrochloric acid, and I did not get yes on that. So you must be taking it, or you actually have a pretty decent amount of digestive power at the stomach level, but you're not breaking things down at the more of an enzymes level.
Okay. So before the meal, the digestive enzyme before the meal and before bed. Is that what
So
you said?
digestive enzymes, you could take them before eating, is pretty powerful to take them like 20 minutes before. If you forget them and then you want to take them in the middle of the meal, that's fine too.
Okay. And then
And you could
before
take
bed.
them even afterwards too.
Okay. And
Yeah.
before bed.
Before bed, 1 capsule before bed, and look for proteolytic enzymes in addition to it.
Okay.
Okay, those are a little bit different enzymes.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So
don't worry,
digest-
Jasmine, we're running the replay. You can come back and listen.
I
right
know,
before
I will.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I
Okay.
ask a question about the darkness? A very quick question. How do you know when you're too in it? Like, do you know what I mean? When you get too lost in it, it's being aware of the
Great
darkness.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have John answer that first.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
How do you get lost in the darkness when you're caught up in the suffering and the agony of it? I mean, truly. And your body is going to respond with its intelligence as well. When you start getting depleted, it's like dehydration. When your body is overtaxed, you've got to come back into compassion and balance it out with the lights. And so, I've been known to go on deep dive ayahuasca journeys, and it's at the risk of my body being overstimulated and overtaxed in different ways. And it has to come back to balance. And if it's too much, I've got to pause. I've got to take a breath. It's like, okay, let me come back into balance. And the thing is, check your emotional state also. Is this fear that I'm trying to avoid, or is this fear that's coming up as an intelligence? And learning how to discern between the two is a practice, but you get better at. But if in doubt, stop it a little bit short, adjust, and then go back in instead of trying to push all the way through. Because again, in the world we live in, we're hyperstimulated. And so anytime that we're overdoing it, overextending, trying to get more, trying to do all this, our body's going to suffer in the process. It's going to need to be honored and nourished and listened to. Our spiritual growth is also the awareness that our body has an intelligence that is lending to our spiritual growth. And so we can't just bypass it for the sake of trying to achieve something in the spiritual realm, overcoming darkness, overcoming ancestral trauma, overcoming a limiting belief, because it all goes with us and there's no finish line. It's just, how can we illuminate that peace and that love and that organic flow within us and get into symbiotic existence with what's supporting us, rather than trying to artificially create something that we think is going to benefit us more than nature's intelligence. It's crazy. That's my long answer.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, John. Yeah. And I think it's the whole idea is it's not black and white. You don't just go into pitch black. I mean, there are different shades of gray, is what I talked about with April last time too. So pay attention to that. And also don't leave this body, because body will let you know when you're in the dark too long. It will let you know. And ways that the body will let you know could be edema. Okay. So you start to get very puffy in your ankles. That's like you're staying in it too long, so that the body needs to start moving. Or things like even stinky armpits. Actually sounds crazy, but that's a stagnation of bile. And that's recirculating through your lymphatic system. So your body is saying, you are too stagnant. get yourself out there and get some light and get out of this rut that you're in, right? So things like that, it's usually will show up as a stagnation. So that'll be a good word to keep in mind. What is stagnant in my life? When I'm in the darkness too long, a lot of things will just start to feel like blocked and stagnant, from financial things to even creativities to your mind. You can't think very clearly, those things. But then your throat may, have like have you ever heard people go all the time? All right. Those are stagnations. You're staying in that place too long. Whatever that state is, your body's telling you you're in that, whatever state you're in, too long. And we need to start moving. That's what those sounds are, and edema and the other stuff, right? So pay attention to your body. It'll let you know. Yeah.
Jasmine, thank you. Great questions. I love it. And actually, Masami, this takes me into the special offer, because again, when we go into our moon power, we get to go through the cycles, and the cycles, if we get into a rhythm, it won't allow us to overextend ourselves if we're really in the rhythm, in the flow. It's like, it's just this, well, I'll let you talk about it. Everybody click on the special offer link. It is in the chat box. April just typed it in. We're going to get into more Q&A here in a little bit. Or go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Masami27, and it'll take you to the same special offer. And I'm actually going to share my screen also, Masami. I just have to find my Zoom link here so that I can share my share screen. Here we go.
Oh, good.
Who can share? Only me. All right, where am I? All right, here we go. Masami, take us through what everybody's going to receive.
Oh, this is great, because I was like, I can't remember all this. Okay, so it's 29.5 days of guided journey with me. I'm just like, I can't believe this, but I told John, I said, I am doing this for myself too. So it's a very committed journey. Can you scroll it down?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. And I am going to be doing this on April 1st, starting on April 1st. That's new moon. And then we're going to end it on the new moon. So it's the entire month. And April is still, we have no planetary retrograde happening until like end of April. So this is, I thought this is a perfect timing. We can start from new moon to new moon, and without having any kind of planetary, disruptions, or maybe, they can definitely change the way we interact with our bodies. So, and then, let's just go down and, feel free to read that. I take time to write these down, and this is very important that you take time to read this before you sign up also. Even you don't sign up, I think you'll gain something from just reading this page. Okay. So what's included is that, like I said, begins on a new moon, ends on a new moon. It's 23 live calls. So Monday through Friday, I'm going to go on 20 minutes every day, Monday through Friday, and it will take you through all kinds of, it'll build on one day after another. So it could be breathing technique one day, and then it will go into maybe different movements, maybe some acupuncture points. It could be different essential oils that will be very helpful for that certain phase of the moon. And every one of you that will sign up will get one personalized email from me. And yes, you will get an email from me. And it's going to be geared towards what phase of the moon you need to pay attention to. And it's going to be channeled through what I sense from your body, and which phase will connect with which organ that you need to pay attention to. It could be kidneys, it could be your lungs, it could be your liver, but I will specify that particular organ that you need to pay attention to. And then we will do 1 week metabolic reset detox together. And we should not be doing detox all the time, but there's a particular moon phase that it's very powerful if you do the detox during that time. So I'm going to be choosing that particular phase to do a group work together. And it isn't just about the food choices. And of course, those things will come in, and the supplement recommendations and things like that too. But there'll be different ways to detox your entire whole system, body, mind, spirit. And the bonuses are fun, but the 23 live calls, basically it's 20 minutes. I will be doing 4 weeks straight with this, but then I will have 2 60-minute live calls to kickstart this. So April 2nd and then April 30th. And that's both Saturdays. And then plus I decided to add this, it's 1 60-minute live health intuitive group call. So it's like you can raise your hands and ask me questions for 60 minutes. And it's on pink moon day, full pink moon. So we'll be having a call on the full moon. And then the lunar bonuses are fabulous. I love these. So I will be choosing 4 winners from the people that have signed up. And I'm going to be doing a small group, basically almost like a 101 session. This lasts about 2 to 2.5 hours. So you get to ask me questions. You get to actually speak to me one-on-one for almost a half an hour. So 4 people plus me. And this is one of the most popular group sessions that I offer in my service. So this is always fun. And the bonus number 2 is the detox that I talked about, but it's very much aligned with your moon cycles. And next one is that we will be doing a lot of self-reflection and sharing through the community that is private. So it's not Facebook. And one lucky winner is going to receive a 7-day metabolic biome plus kit, which is kind of the 7-day detox kit. So you will be following that, and it comes with everything you need, from what supplements you need to take and what kind of meal replacement kind of thing will be there too. So that's the bonus. And then the personalized, the email, that's the yellow section. I kind of mentioned that already, but you will definitely receive an email from me. And times and dates are here. And
some calls, it's $174, y'all.
I think that's it. And then I wrote some cool stuff over there. Yeah, with the deep questions that we will be exploring together throughout this. And if you go down to there, like a 3 images one, John, I love the fact that you're doing this for me. And then, yeah, I list all the things that they'll be doing those 29.5 days. But actually, will you go back up one more, a little before that? Yeah, right there. So we will be doing these cycles of moon based on more of an Eastern philosophy. So it's more of my Japanese traditions that's going to come in. And I've never shared this before. So I'm very excited that I get to share what it is to tune yourself in from more of a Asian, but the Japanese perspectives. And I have missed this myself. That's why I'm going to do this for myself too, because I need to come back to my origin too. And self-care practices, but each phase will have different organs that they'll be addressing. So one week we might address kidneys, and the next week we'll focus on something else, and so on and so forth. And I don't know, there's so much, like, you know me, I will be adding all kinds of things. You can ask me questions. Yeah, what else do you see there, John? Do you see?
This is fantastic. Well, I love this, illuminate the dark side of your moon in you. And that's really getting into the subconscious desires and expressions.
Yeah.
And some of them can seem really dark and really apprehensive by cultural standards. But when you can embrace what's flowing through you, rather than having shame, guilt, or judgment, it comes up as an innate power that, because of you're not going to abuse it and manipulate it. You wouldn't be on this call if that were you. So to overcome the fear of your own power or desires by going into that by itself can shift your reality and help you actually, if you want to get into the esoteric, which you will, recover soul fragmented pieces, disassociated versions of yourself that have been fractured off for the sake of belonging or enculturation or giving up the essence, again, flipping that iceberg upside down. In the way that you're just functioning from the shallow part on top rather than the depth of who you really are. So that I saw that as like, oh yes, more of that, please.
And I just think that, my work is, I'd like to bring it in with the shadow work, so you've done the shadow work before, you've done that dark night of the soul work. then let's bring the physiology back into it, because our bodies remember, right? Our cells know everything that you've been through. Your body keeps the score. So this is why I want to bring the physical side, the body embodied side of the shadow work. And it may not be, I don't even call it the shadow work. It's really getting to know the dark side.
Love it.
And let's really enjoy that, embrace that, because this is where you will find your beauty.
Oh, beautiful. And you also learn about acupressure points and engaging with the moon power and balancing that moon energy also, which is so, you all are going to learn so much from Masami. It's just this, come, absorb, take notes if you want, know that there's recordings that you're going to get to receive to review the information, and just dive in. This is fantastic, Masami. This is fantastic course that you put together. Again, it's $174. There's a 2-payment option. You get the private email from Masami and the chance to win being part of that group. And again, so much more. This is wonderful. Is there anything else you wanted to share, Masami, or does it feel good to you now?
Yeah, it feels good. And, I think one last thing is that if you are looking to maybe increase your metabolic rate, and you've been wanting to lose a little bit of COVID weight or whatever that's going on, you don't want to just jump in and say, I'm going to start losing weight in the beginning of this part of the moon cycle or that cycle. It's like you have to actually understand, when is it ebbing and flowing, because the whole world moves with it. It's just the human beings, we have lost it, or we've forgotten how to work with it. So if you've been wanting to lose weight, I will definitely go into when is the good time to do certain things. When is the better time to introduce more protein versus when's the better time to introduce more fiber or more carbohydrates and things like that as well. So anybody that's taken my course, they will have to get a brand new notebook to take a bunch of notes, because I will share and share and share. But I'm excited to do this with you. Yeah.
Amazing. Again, the special offer link is in the chat box, or go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Masami27, and it'll take you to the same page. Join now, input the payments, and you'll get all the information on how and where to join. Wonderful. All right, let's go now. Masami, let's take a few more questions before we get in. And oh my goodness, where are we? Cynthia, I'm guided to call on you. Welcome to the call.
Thank you. Gosh, this is great. I had no idea I'd be called upon. I'm enjoying this so much, and I'm rather new to your webinars. I've seen maybe a half dozen of them, and I saw Masami previously, and I'm just thrilled with this program, or the month of April, that you're offering. That sounds perfect. So, to get to the point, I have a problem that I'm hoping you can zero in on and help me understand. I have to have some eye surgery next week on my left eye, and all of this became evident just 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, and it was a complete shock. And there were a series of different medical appointments and prescription drugs, which I have to say I'm not a fan of, because I'm holistic, integrative, alternative. That's my approach to health. So taking, steroid drops and these other drugs they gave me for my eye was not pleasing to my body or my spirit. However, I went forward with it. So next week I'm to have some eye surgery on the left eye to fix a intraocular lens, which has become displaced, and apparently it's rather complex. And I'm just wondering if you can see, Masami, what is going on with me in my eye right now that you might, I am someone who is very dedicated to pretty much a clean diet and, healthy food and deep spiritual work right now. I'm a Course in Miracles student. I'm working with someone on, and I have been for quite some time. So I'm gonna jump in with the is your mom still alive? No, she's been gone. Right? Yeah, she's been 82. Yeah, she's been gone for a while. That's long time.
Yeah. She had some frustrations that she didn't sort it out. She had some frustrations and anger.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Your mom is like, yep, let's talk about this. So this is good. She came in. She came in so strongly because I was asking all kinds of body parts and I just kept getting no. And I was like, what is it then? And then she just said, okay, it's my anger. I gave it to her. So basically, you have been chosen to sort this out a little bit for her to
Wonderful.
filter it through. So where you want to focus on is definitely your liver. Okay. Liver, but also gallbladder, liver and gallbladder. Okay. You can eat as clean as you want, but the liver and gallbladder requires constant support. Okay. So hold on. Okay. Yeah, so I get yes on things like a Jerusalem artichoke extracts. Those are great. Tudka or Tudka, have you heard of those? Think of Tudka or Tudka.
How do you spell
Let me spell it Tudka. Okay, so it's UDCA.
Okay.
Look into that. Okay. I would actually avoid oxalated foods. So like oxalate foods, you do not do well with that. Yeah, you already know that, right? Things like beet juice or beet foods, spinach, broccoli, if it's not boiled or something, you have built up some oxalates in you.
Okay.
It's actually showing up in your eyes. There you go. Okay, now I got it. Now, thank you, Mom.
Wow.
Thank you, Mom. Mom has left. Okay. She was swift and she left. But yeah, she's like, she had some frustrations. She was like, kind of like this with me. Like she was frustrated while she was here. So, and she says, I'm sorry, you've been having to, filter some of this out for me. This is just something that we inherit. Some of us inherit things in the lungs and some of us inherit it in our colon and so on and so forth. But in your case was a liver and gallbladder a little bit. So yes, avoid the oxalate foods. Okay. So you don't build up the stones much more. Okay. The crystallized calcifications. Okay. That's what's definitely impacting your eyes. Okay. And that gets developed over time. I think you did a little too much green juice in your previous times. Like it might have done a little too much salads, too much spinach, too many green juices.
Yes.
Okay. There you go. So I hit it right there. Okay. That's the button. Okay. So you're slowly recovering from the oxalate buildup in your body. Okay. So in your case, you need to avoid raw vegetables, particularly juicing things like that, like juicing, spinach and celery and kale and all that. Avoid. That is not for you. And that's catching up to you right now. Okay.
Okay. I eat a lot of raw vegetables.
Yeah. So I would start cooking them. I would start, at least put it through the heat, put it, maybe steaming it, boiling it, and not to consume the green like juice part once you boil them. Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
You'll get through this. You'll get through this.
Thank you both.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. All right. A couple of people are asking what time the calls start. It is on the sales page, but just to make it easier, the calls start for the special offer at 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time in April. So that's there. The times for the other calls, it's all listed on the special offer page. So go check it out and click the join now button after you get your yes and your excitement. I'm excited for y'all. Let's go to, there's such great, okay, let me get into this question from Kat. So Kat writes, I went through menopause, spiritual awakening, and Chiron return all at the same time and felt very scattered. Now I've been trying to figure out lack of financial flow and insight as to the next steps and balance and vitality. So Kat, we're all trying to figure that one out in some way. I was going to ask a generic question about that, but I think to get into Kat's experience of having these experiences simultaneously, what are you seeing in Masami? And really, for Kat, I get, how can she work also with this moon cycle to help her get into the flow rather than trying to pinpoint all the time? And it seems like we missed the mark because we're trying to do something outside the flow.
You know, John, I think it goes back to what you said a little bit earlier, where you just needed to shut down. You know, you just wanted to toss your cell phone and you couldn't take it anymore. It's kind of like that imploded feelings are happening to all of us. Like we've created way too much dust inside us. And what the darkness does, and the different shades of darkness, what it does is that, like I said earlier, 80 to 90% of your senses are coming through the light, right? Different forms of light through your eyes. So when you shut down that, and when you go into the cycles of the darkness, you get to kind of hone in on yourself a little bit more. You can collect the pieces that have, you know, gone somewhere else, fragmented self, whatever you want to call it. But we have like areas of who we are that's been left in different areas of the room. But when you go into the darkness, you can actually bring yourself as a one piece. And I think that's what ancient people have always been able to do. And let's go to the physiology. For instance, like a brain, okay? Your brain requires darkness in the night, not just to produce your melatonin, and not to just do the lymphatic system and clean your brain through the lymphatic system of the brain so that your CSF can flow. But the brain actually collects all your information, including everything that we're talking about tonight, collects all that information in the middle of the night and connects them and creates synapses. They connect and they start to hold hands with each other. Okay. And then they will say, this information I do not need, this experiences I do not need to keep right now, and it starts to sort it out. So we get to actually practice discernment. The power of discernment comes in when you can get into the darkness. So I think when everything starts to fall apart and everything is blowing up inside you, that's your body, your inner spirit, your soul's way of saying, you have scattered yourself too much. Please come home and realign yourself into the oneness, into the wholeness. Yeah. So I think that's how the moon cycles can help you to tune in, to bring it back in. And in a way, like race horses have that, you know, eye covers, you know, we've been living without that too much sometimes. And it's just too much what is it? What's that view called? What's a fish view? That's it. We're just seeing too much sometimes. And our bodies just get exhausted from that. So kind of zone in or zoom in. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, the poetic, you know, equivalence is like do everything one eyelash at a time. It's like slow it down, get into the minutia instead of the macro. And it helps to support the anxiety, the overflowing, the hormonal balance also that gets into, we get into fight or flight response. And we overwhelm ourselves. This is so wonderful, y'all. The replay for today's call, we'll send out the link for that a little bit later. And always you can access the replays on beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replay. And again, the link for the special offer is in the chat box. So take advantage of that. Again, the calls begin in April. You can go through full moon cycle, new moon, your own live, not your own live reading, your email personal response from Masami for anybody who signs up. You know, the special offer, it's just jam-packed. That's so special. And I want to bring that up now so that we can end the call, Masami, with our next caller. So who you guided to call on, Masami? I want you to pick.
Oh, one more person?
One more person, yeah.
Okay, hold on. Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. So I'm muscle testing right now.
I knew it.
You don't see me, but I'm like constantly moving. Okay, Gayana, is that right?
Guyana, yeah.
Guyana,
Yeah.
yes, it's me. Oh gosh,
Yes.
I knew you're gonna call on me. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. I just honestly, I miss John so much, going through all of my entrepreneurial stuff, just like I need to I need to come somewhere, to be just in a close proximity to this light. And I have a couple of questions I put down. So, what would be your recommendations for the spine? Because I feel that I have like scoliosis, and I try, and I exercise my abdominal and everything, but just any recommendation for that, and if I might go to another one, which I think is actually connected, is my obsessive thoughts. I get obsessed with little stuff. Like I get going. Then today I lost my ring that I bought in Costa Rica, and I got so frustrated. I'm like, I forgot about my son. I was just like searching for the ring. Is it something connected to my diet, or am I just not grounded? What are your
Okay.
thoughts on that?
Yeah. So those are actually connected. The spine issue, mind, they're connected. So the first place that I went was that you are having some mineral deficiencies. So are you taking any minerals? Like we're talking, magnesium, zinc, potassium. Are you taking any of those things?
I was taking vitamin B and what was the other thing? Vitamin D and spirulina, and that's what is the only thing that I was doing. I don't know if spirulina is counting for anything, but it was making me feel
those
good.
are vitamins, right?
Okay.
So I want you to write down the minerals equal spark plug of your life. It's what creates the light within the darkness. Okay. So when I'm going to say that the beginning of your birth, okay, when the sperm goes into the egg, there's this big light that goes off, okay, inside who you're going to become, because the star system gets created in that moment. That light comes from zinc. All right. So you're missing minerals. So you need to start taking some, just go for multi-minerals are fine. Okay. So, but make sure you're getting the strongest one that I got was magnesium. It was all across the board. You need some minerals. Okay. Even things like manganese, you might think, what is she talking about? Manganese. Okay. Molybdenum. Okay. Things like that. Those are minerals. Okay.
Could you repeat the last one?
Yeah. Manganese and molybdenum. And don't ask me to spell it either.
And you can come back and listen to the replay, Gaina.
Awesome. Yes,
but
magnesium
is the key. You're having this racing thoughts because your body is saying, we don't have enough of this calming mineral called magnesium. Okay. Magnesium is a very feminine mineral. Okay. It's like a flowing, gentle river. Okay. I think of like a yellow river in China. That's the kind of thing I get in my image is magnesium. It's so sweet and it's so beautiful and it just holds you, but that's what's missing in you. So then you start to race. Okay. That kind of a go, move. I'm going to get agitated with this and that. That is like magnesium's calling out and saying, we need magnesium so we can settle down, calm down. Okay. So look for magnesium ASAP, okay? And let me see, 120, okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get around 500 milligrams per day for you. Okay, so just start and do not take magnesium with food ever, okay? Always take it on an empty stomach because the magnesium will turn into like a soap-like substance if you take them with food, okay? And then that's not a good thing, okay?
Okay,
so,
and is there any food that I should avoid? Because I'm really fond of French fries. I'm just gonna say that. I consume them without guilt, and I feel like I'm getting more beautiful with them.
Well, occasionally it's all right, but make sure you're blessing the French fries. Okay, sing a song to the French fries and say thank you, French fries. You're gonna become a beautiful thing for me. Okay. And one more thing about the magnesium. Why am I bringing it up for the spine and the brain? Is that your bones, okay, bones are made out of almost all calcium and other minerals. But what supports the calcium to get absorbed into the bones is magnesium, okay? You're already taking vitamin D, so that's important. But magnesium is the counterpart, okay? If you don't have magnesium, and you could be eating calcium-rich foods, you don't have a dance partner to dance with in your life, okay? So you always want to bring the magnesium with you to this body. So whenever there's something going on with the bones, we have to look at minerals, and we have to look at the absorption of the minerals, and that's magnesium. And I know I keep saying, John, this is the last thing I'm going to say to her. Okay, is the you do need actually betaine hydrochloric acid. Betaine hydrochloric acid, okay? And I'll spell it. Betaine is B-E, T as in Tom, A-I, N as in Nancy, E. Betaine hydrochloric acid will usually do HCl. HCl. And Richard just put it up on the chat too, if you want to make sure how to spell it, okay? I want you to take 1 capsule of this every meal. After 2-3 bites of your foods, please take betaine HCl, okay? Because if you don't have enough digestive power in you, you also don't have the power to break down the minerals into an ionized form of minerals so that you can absorb that back into your spine, into your bones, okay? So you can't just be taking minerals and call it good. You have to take betaine hydrochloric acid so you can absorb the minerals into your body. Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
And
Thank you.
thank you so much for calling, and it's wonderful to see you. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for calling on me. I appreciate all the information. I really need that information. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
All right, Masami, it's amazing as always, and we can go and go and go and go with you, and just so much to share. But y'all have the opportunity in the special offer. It's over $750 value. It's $178. It's a 2-payment option, and just you got a glimpse on this call of what's being like a glimpse of what you're going to receive. So again, if it's resonating for you, I highly recommend that you dive in. Again, the link's in the chat box. Go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Masami27. Take it to the same page, or we'll send it out in the replay link a little bit later, just in case. So we'll make sure that you have access to it. Masami, it's so great connecting with you. I'm so glad that we can connect after my birthday and this happened on this.
Hey, thank you for taking this extra time, John. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So wonderful. Yo, I love y'all. I bow to each and every one of you. Namaste. And I'm so looking forward to what's evolving in all of us, including your dark side. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.